You don't need anything for today's class, but you might find it useful to have a jumper or a towel or something of a little bit of thickness. So I've got here a little cushion. Now when it's squished down, you can see it goes down to nothing. It's very like the equivalent of having a kind of rolled up towel. So something like that would be good, very thin cushion. So take a moment and grab that if you need to. Sorry, I should have said that before. It's just occurred to me that we need something like that. You can do the class without. So don't worry if you don't have that to hand. Absolutely, you can do everything without. So let's get started. Take your places on the mat, stand up nice and tall, make yourselves comfortable. We're starting with just a little roll down of the spine. So we've got a lower back release session today where we are really focusing, as the title says, on finding space through the lower back. Take a moment at the end of each of your roll downs and then curl back up again. If this is your first roll down of the day, this is my first roll down of the day, don't worry if it feels a little bit tight. Everything feels a little bit restricted. So don't worry about that. Just take a moment, exhale and curl back up. Just take your time with this first few. This is our opportunity to just find our way back into our bodies, find our connections, find a little bit of awareness, a little bit of inner strength and inner control. Let's just take the time to do that, gift ourselves that time. So on your next one, you're just going to take a little bit of focus into your feet. And as you're rolling down here, can you check that the weight distribution remains even across toes and heels? Okay, we really want that to stay steady. That's going to be really important going forwards. So one more here. Can you check? Because I don't know about you, but I find, I'm expecting you do too, that as I roll down, the bulk of my weight would like to go into my toes. So I have to work quite hard to keep my heels heavy into the ground and really anchored into the ground. And that really wakes up the back body. It wakes up the hamstrings and the glutes. So pausing there, you're now going to take a little softness through the knees and just place your hands on your thighs. You've got a nice flat back here. And can you just check again that your parallel feet, you're holding that weight nice and even between toes and heels. Just double check here and maybe lean forwards, backwards, just play with it. Take a second. And then when you're ready, have your hands nicely relaxed, but your chest open. You're going to exhale to round into a C shape, into your cat. And then you're going to inhale and release into your flat back. And again, when you're doing these, check. In fact, we're going to go into extension beyond flat back, cow. When you're doing these, check in on those feet. Can you make sure that your weight distribution is nice and even? Inhale to open. Breathing into those ribs. Exhale to round. Inhale to lengthen, open. Just take your time with these. Follow the breath. And exhale to round. Last one here. Finishing in an open position. Holding here and then rounding and curling up to standing. Take a moment here. Let's roll those shoulders back for 3 and 2 and 1. And now we're going to take a curl down, rolling down through the spine. Soften your knees as you go. And you're going to take your hands to your knees. Now, can you pause here? Bend your knees if you need to, but flatten your back. Now you're going to hold this position and you're going to take your left arm and rotate round to the left side. So you can really push the right hand into the right knee. Keep that weight distribution even on both feet though. And just hold in this opening and then release back down. Keep your spine nice and straight. Hand goes to the knee, other side, rotate round. Turn and face the side of the room. Open that chest. Knees are stable and even and releasing back down. Now what you might find is nice is to bend into the right knee as you turn to the left and straighten the left knee. You get a little bit further and then bend them both as you come back in. Other side, we turn to the right, which means the right knee straightens, the left knee bends. Now this means the pelvis is going with you a little bit, but that's okay. It gives you a little bit more range, and that means a little bit more or less feeling of restriction. Let's do this one more time. Straightening up in that left leg so you can turn, and it just feels a little bit less clunky, a little bit less like you're fighting. Other side. Rotate round, and then release it down. Pause here, round your spine, scoop that belly up, and curl up to standing, rolling those shoulders back. When you are ready, we're taking a roll down, chin to chest. Taking this all the way down, soften your knees, and now walk your hands forward because you're going to come to 4-point kneeling. So lowering those knees down when you get there, and just taking a second here. Now, we're going to start here in 4-point, but what I'd like you to do is bring your knees closer to your hands. Keep your body where it is so that your weight is still shoulders over wrists, but what you're finding now is that your bottom is kind of back, it's over your shins, maybe even back towards your heels. So we want to shorten this cat. We're making this a much smaller position, so it means that our movement is going to be deeper. We can round into a C shape. Now make sure that you haven't sent your shoulders towards your fingertips. You want to stay over your wrists. Round and scoop the belly, and by doing that you really take a lot of the weight out of your hands. You can see you should be able to lift your hands at that point, and then you release back to a flat back and you go beyond into your cow. So this is a really nice way of taking the stress out of your wrists, but still finding a cat, and actually finding a very dynamic cat. You can really move here. Shoulders are back and down. Weight is in the shoulders, but those are pulling back, so you're really holding a lot of the stress in your lats. You're using the upper back to stabilize. Using that tummy, still finding the round back. Scoop and curl under. Tuck that tail and lengthen into your flat back. Reach the chest forwards. Now after this one, hold in your neutral position. Take your legs back so you're finding your 4-point. And we're going to take a normal cat now for 3. We round into the C shape, scoop the tummy, and release into your flat back. Now, what you might find here now is that you're having to work a little bit harder to find that cat, that your lower abdominals have to work a bit more. Exhale, round. Inhale, lengthen. Shoulders pull back. And again, exhale, round. The last one. Inhale, lengthen. Lengthen that chest forwards, draw the shoulders back, and finish in a neutral position. Take your right hand and go underneath your left armpit. Turn to your left. Rotate under. Now pause. Could you really reach those fingers a little bit further under? Could you get that shoulder further underneath you? And then press back round and back to your start position. Other side, we go under. So reaching now with your left arm. Can you get the left shoulder further underneath and the right shoulder further back towards the other side of the room? So you're really turning the rib cage and the upper back. Let's do one more in each direction. Inhale under. Rotate round. Reach, reach, reach. And exhale, press. And your last one in the other direction, going under, reaching through. And exhale, press it back. Pausing here. When you're ready, stay exactly where you are and sit your bottom back into child's pose. Could you reach your fingertips away and just hold here? So you've got your bottom back towards your heels, your arms reaching forwards. Now imagine that there's a strap around your belly button, around your waist, and it's attached to the ceiling. Now that strap, someone's going to pull it up, and as it pulls it up, it's going to lift you in your round back up onto your 4-point position. But you're rounded because that strap is pulling up from your belly, from your waist, and then the strap slackens and you can release back to your heels. So that lift is coming from the belly button. It's pulling you up. Scoop, 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 scoop. Bring yourself forwards as a consequence and release back down. So your primary mover here is your belly, your core. You're holding that round back, scooping up. So again, the weight distribution in the hands is really light. Traveling back. One more time. Scooping up. And when you're ready, traveling all the way back resting into child's pose. Could you bring your feet together and take your knees wider? And now try and imagine that your belly, your spine, your pelvis is coming down towards your inner thighs. It's almost like you're trying to sink your trunk down towards the ground, into the space between the legs. Tailbone is traveling back. You can take your knees wider if you need to. And when you're ready, coming all the way up. We're going to shuffle forwards, cross the legs over and roll yourself back so that we're lying down on your back now. So we're going to take some pelvic tilts here. Now, this is where you might like to use your cushion or your towel. It's an option, and you may find that you put it away and disregard it. But if you are going to use it, it goes now underneath your lower back. So if you've got a towel, you might like to roll it up. It only needs to be folded in half or into thirds. Doesn't need to be thick, but it's just going to go underneath your lower back. You're going to have your tail on the floor, and it shouldn't be so thick that it's pushing you open. Okay, so you want to be able to keep your neutral position, ribs down on your tailbone, tummy on, but you can just feel something underneath your lower back. And if that feels clunky for you, and if you've got a flat lower back, it will do, you can put it to the side. Okay, it's only if you've got a big arch in your lower back that this is kind of relevant, really. So chest is open, but you can always try it, and you can try it with a band or a thin towel. When you're ready, we're taking a tilt. So exhale, print your lower back down into the floor or into that towel. Squeeze down and then release back into your neutral position. Chest is open. Let's go again. Exhale to imprint. Squeeze, 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 and inhale, release. Now I've got quite a big curve in my back and quite a bendy spine. This cushion is probably a little bit too thick for me. It's pushing me open. So if that's happening for you, then just ditch it. Squeeze your tummy, tuck your tail. I'd be better off with a very thin towel, something that just, what we're looking for here is the intention to be increased. So when you're finding that imprint, by having the towel there, it's just giving you an extra level of awareness. So you can feel like that imprint has some purpose. It's trying to scoop and tuck and reach and press down into the ground. Imagine that's a mold of sand underneath you, and you're trying to leave a mark with your vertebra, with your spine, little holes in the floor, and then releasing back to neutral. So let's take this a step further, and we add in our pelvic curl. So we imprint first and then we peel up. So we've got that little bit of extra intention. Take an inhale breath and exhale and curl down, finding that imprint into the sand again, finding all of those markers, releasing to neutral. I'm going to get rid of mine just for this bit. I'll bring it back in a second. Exhale to round, imprint, scoop that tummy and curl up. Now what you might find is if you've been using the towel and now you take it away, again, suddenly there's a little bit more intention about getting that movement through the lower back. So you're going to find that you move a little bit more intentionally, a bit more efficiently. You get a bit more tuck, a bit more movement than maybe you would do usually. And that's always the thing with everything we're doing. We're trying to do it better than we did yesterday. Not perfectly. Perfect is an illusion, but just better. We're trying to create more movement. There's always better. There's always more we can be doing. Take an inhale breath at the top here. Exhale and curl back down again. Now when you're ready and you're down, you're going to bring your knees and feet together so that they're touching, and you're going to take those knees, inhale to one side, so a bit more rotation, and exhale, draw back to center. You can have the towel underneath your lower back if it's a useful resource for you, and exhale back. And if it's not useful at the moment, it will be later, so don't worry, it's not. You haven't wasted time by grabbing it. Inhale over, exhale back. So again, we're now thinking about the sand being underneath the shoulders and the backs of the arms. So we really want to keep that impression down into the floor. And then we're moving and rolling across the pelvis, moving those legs, moving those hips, allowing everything to twist and turn. Take it back to center, bring your arms back to your sides and your feet back to parallel. Now this time we're going to roll up, taking your pelvis up to the ceiling, and then we take the arms overhead. And we're going to roll down, keeping the arms behind us, finding that imprint, that articulation, and reach the arms back to your sides. Now, you're going to curl up, keeping the arms where they are. Now this time, as you curl down, the arms travel up and over behind you. So they're moving with you. And now as you curl back up, your arms are going to come back to your sides. The aim is that these 2 points reach their end range at the same time. So we curl down through the spine and the arms travel behind. Hold for a breath. And then we curl up through the spine and those arms travel back to your sides. Again, reaching that end point at the same time. Keep going like this. Really working your way along that spine. Don't compromise on spinal movement because you're distracted by the arms. This is the challenge, is to keep the focus in the movement and not in the distractions. It's all sent to challenge you. This is real life. You know, we don't spend time thinking about where our arms are or what we're doing. So we need to be able to find that awareness and find that control despite the moving factors, the moving parts. Let's take one more here to take those arms overhead. Roll your way back down. Keep your arms behind you. You can take them wider into a V if you need to get them onto the floor. Legs come together again. Ribs tuck in, and we're going to take those knees side to side again. So keep the arms behind you. And again, don't worry if they're not on the floor. You want a little bit of contact ideally. So you could take them wide or even open to a T if you prefer that. But this is quite a nice position because you've got a little bit less support. You're getting a little bit of shoulder flexion at the same time. So shoulder mobility. You need to work hard to keep those ribs tucked in. They will want to flare. Your spine is going to want to arch. But because the arms are where they are, when you find your end range, you're also getting quite a good stretch down the side of the waist, but also the sides of the ribs, which can be really restrictive. If the side of the rib cage is tight, then that's going to tighten up your obliques, which will impact heavily on your pelvis. So let's do one more on each side here. Inhaling over, breathing deeply into the side of the ribs. Exhale back. Breathing deeply into the side of the ribs. Inhale over. And exhale back. Take it to center and relax there. Bring your arms over. Okay, we're coming on to sides. So we're going to come down into our, resting on our forearm. So we want the elbow bent. And we're going to bring both legs just in front of us. So we've got this right angle. Now we start with a rotation. So we're going to inhale to turn, rotate, look behind, take that twist. And exhale back over. And just do two more exactly like that. Inhale over, finding that rotation, keeping the knees together, finding as much movement through the spine as you can. Let's take just one more here, opening, reaching that top knee forwards, and exhale to close, and pausing there. Now keep the bottom arm underneath you. You can straighten it out if you prefer. Now we're going to take those knees back to clam, but straighten your top leg. So in this position, you've got this arch underneath your waist. All I want you to do here is imagine the towel is there. You can put it there if you want to. But when you lift that leg, I want you to sink down into the waist. So you're really shortening this top section of waist, and the leg will go much higher than usual. And then as you release it back down, you're finding your neutral. Don't let that leg pull you into an extended arch in the underside of the waist. Hold your pelvis stacked one on top of the other hips. This time we go again. We pull that leg in using the obliques on the top here to really flex the waist and tip the pelvis, and then lengthening back down, and we find that space again. We're going again. Exhale, squeeze up, shortening the waist, strong tummy. Try and make sure there's no tension in the neck and shoulders. This is a lateral flex of the spine. So again, it's all lower back release. Exhale up, inhale down. But that lower back release, we're always finding ways to support that release, because there's no point having a really flexible lower back if you don't have the support structure in place to keep it safe. So here, we're not only strengthening into the obliques and into the spinal extensors, but we're also strengthening these side muscles in the legs, in the glutes, which is so important for pelvic stability. So we have a flexible moving lower back, and waist and trunk, but a good amount of support around the pelvis. Let's take 2 more here. Exhale up and inhale lower. Neutral position, tummy strong so that that spine doesn't overarch. Exhale up and inhale, release back down. Relax there, spin yourself around, and let's do all of that on the other side. So bringing those knees forward, start resting your head down, and we're beginning with those rotations. So top arm is straight, tummy's on, legs stacked. Inhale over. I know I say it, I always say it, but rotation, in my opinion, rotation of the spine is probably the most valuable thing you can do for releasing your back. Inhaling to open. It's a thing we do the least. It's a thing we're probably most restricted in. Also, getting the right stretches in is important. But again, as always, there's no point stretching without strengthening. So we've got to release these rotators here, release the waist, release the ribs, but then we have to find support for them. So we're going to take that top leg straight now, bring the bottom leg back to clam shape. And when you're ready, you're going to straighten that leg, draw into your waist and scoop that leg up, squeezing into the top section of waist and lengthening to release back down. Stable pelvis. Exhale, squeeze up, squeezing into that waist, and inhale, lengthen down. So using the glute med, there's muscles, the TFL muscle down the side here that's attached to this flat bit on the edge of your pelvis. But also, as we said, very much working into these obliques to really pull this hip bone up towards these ribs, to really feel like you squish your waist into the floor. And if you need that towel there to give you that extra bit of feedback, sometimes that's useful. That's where the towel comes in handy in this session, is for feedback, to know what your feeling is right. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Can you check that your chest is open and you're looking forwards? Ribs are in. Let's go for 2 more. Releasing back down. And last one, exhale up. And releasing back down. Take a moment, twiddle over onto your back. And we've got some stabilizing for the spine now. So we're going to do some bridging. So keeping your arms by your sides. Let's find our corset. So we've moved the lower back quite a bit. So now we want to bring it back to some stability. So it's light and shade. It's bringing it into movement, but also controlling it. Chest is open. Arms are by your sides. Feet hip distance and parallel. And when you're ready, tighten that belt. Use those out breaths to really pull yourself, squeeze into that corset. Tighten those ribbons. And then when you're ready, we're going up and down. Now, you may find that you've got a little bit more range here. But the danger is now, because we've been moving and flexing and twisting the lower back, that you might have too much movement. So we really need to pull it back, rein it in now. Find that opposition. So we stabilize, which might mean not going as high, because we've been doing bigger movements. The temptation is going to be to keep with big movements. You might need to keep it a bit smaller. Chest open, tummy on. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Inhale down. Now on your next one, can you find your way up to the top? Hold it here. Can you drop your right hip? So that right side of the bottom lets go, gives up. And now we squeeze that side of the bottom to lift the hip back up. We lower down the left hip. And then we squeeze back up. It's a gentle twist, a dropping of one side of the pelvis. What this isn't is a back maneuver. So if you're feeling this in your lower back, my advice would be to lower your hips a little bit. What we want to really feel here is that as we drop a hip, that side of the bottom lets go, gives up. But as we lift it back up, we squeeze into the bottom. We recruit that muscle intentionally, because it may be that your back is stronger than your glutes and your back might want to do this for you. So you have to intentionally find the muscle that you want. We're finding the support structure rather than what's dominant, rather than what's habit. We're squeezing and lifting as we tip. Now the side that's not tipping stays totally still. Let's go one more on each side. If you need to come down for a break, then do. Can you re-establish your core connection? Hold at the top here. You might need to lower an inch. You might need to tuck a little bit to feel that belly switch on. Holding there, you're going to lift your heels and lower your heels. Now we're just holding the stability, ribs in, chest open. We're going up and down. Let's go 6 and down. Now can you keep your hips totally still? 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Now check at the top, hold those heels up, your knees parallel. Now can you lower the heels halfway and up, halfway and up. Let's go 6, 5, tummy on, 4. Can we focus on belly? 3, remember it's the heels that are moving, nothing else. 2 and 1, heels down, and now round your way down. Imagine that towel is underneath your lower back. Can you round into the towel as you curl down and find your way back to neutral? We're going to take both of those knees and hug them into the chest. Squeeze them in, relax through the chest, and just take a little roll of the legs from side to side. Just take some movement, have a little moment. And when you're ready, you're going to take your left leg to the floor. Keep hold of your right leg. Hold onto the back of the thigh. And when you're ready, open that chest, anchor the tail, and extend the leg up. Hamstring stretch, release down. So big part of maneuvering, releasing the lower back is stretching the corresponding muscles. So stretching everything above, which would be obliques, which would be your rib cage. Oh gosh, the list is endless. Hip flexors, blah, blah, blah. But also the lower part, it can be really restrictive. So your hamstrings are a massive muscle that insert on the bottom of the pelvis. If they're tight, then they're going to be pulling the pelvis in a funny position, which is going to make your lower back into a funny position. And then everything battles to find stability, find control, and that's where you get your pain. So big muscles like hamstrings need to be lengthened. Let's take this next one up. We're going to flex that foot and point the foot. Doesn't matter if the leg's not straight, get it as straight as you can, but hold onto that thigh. Let's go 5 and 4, push up through that heel. 3, and it's a chain reaction. If the calf is tight, the hamstrings are tight. That's going to all pull. Last one. So even down to pausing here in your flex, if your Achilles tendon in the back of your heel is tight, that could be because of a lower back issue. It might be needing to stabilize because the lower back is in a funny shape. The hamstrings and calves are tight. So you can see how things zigzag around the body. A problem in the pelvis is going to be a problem elsewhere. So let's take that leg down and switching sides. Holding onto the back of the other thigh, shoulders down, we're going up and releasing down. So finding that stretch, that length down the back of the thigh is going to be really important for lower back release. Let's go 3 and 2, shoulders down. Last one, up and hold. Now let's flex. 6 and 5. Knee is as straight as you can get it. 4. Make sure that tail's down because that really impacts on how much you stretch. 2 and 1. Hold. Push up through that heel, down through the tail, and release that leg back down. Now take your left leg, flatten it to the floor, bring your right leg to tabletop. Let's take some circles in this position. We're just going to go for 6 in each direction. So mobilizing those hips. 5 and 4. Now if you want to, after this one, you can straighten the leg. We're going for 2 and 1. Lift it up, other way. Now can you check, hands on hips if you need to. Is your pelvis still? We've got 6, 5, chest is open, 4, 3, don't worry about any clunking in the hip unless it's painful. You can always turn your toes out a little bit if you need to. Last one, up and pause. Now what I mean by that is if my leg's parallel, I get a clunk. If I turn it out, I don't. Or if I bend the knee a little bit, I don't. So do what you need to do to adjust. Take your other leg up. Starting in tabletop, we've got 6 circles. So we're going to do the first 4 in tabletop. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now you can extend that leg for the final 2 in this direction if you want to. I'm going to hit my curtain. And 1, and let's go the other way for 6. You could also narrow your circles, make them like ovals. That can help to avoid any clunking. Pelvis still, that's your priority, belly on. That will help avoid clunking. 2 and 1, and pause there and hug those knees in. The reason with hips, they can be different for everybody because the depth of the hip socket really varies from person to person. So you may well get a little bit of clunking, and it's fine as long as it's not painful. Minimize your range, make them smaller, or adjust your leg position to try and avoid it, because I know it doesn't feel particularly nice. Feet to the floor. When you're ready, let's take a little bit of abdominal work. So tail down. We are going to come off of our back in a second. Shoulders down, away from ears, elbows peripheral vision. Tighten that belt. Let's exhale and curl up, chest lift. Squeeze up and control down. Now we've moved the spine a lot. We've taken lots of different directions and ranges. So I hope that you're finding your chest lift is quite doable. We've also really switched on the core. So again, there should be a little bit of ease about this. You could put your towel underneath your lower back if you wanted a little bit of feedback. That would help to make sure that you're not sinking through your lower back. There is a lengthening that happens, but you shouldn't leave your tailbone. So you can imagine your tailbone is on a red sticker on the floor. It's planted there, it's plugged in. Let's take this for 3 and 2 and 1. Hold it here. Now, can you reach for the backs of your legs? Can you inhale and lift a little bit more? Take your hands behind your head and release back down. Let's do that again. It's an exhale lift. It's an inhale to reach and pull up a little bit more. Tail is still plugged into the floor. Hands behind head, hold that height and release down. Let's go again. Lift, reach, inhale, grow. Exhale, hands behind the head and lower down. 1 more, up, reach, squeeze, hands back and release back down. Take a moment here and bring yourself up to sitting. We are rolling. Now, this is where your block, cushion or towel is going to come in handy. We're doing roll-ups. So if roll-ups always elude you, then this is a great option. A rolled up towel, a rolled up jumper, a cushion like this, or even a bigger cushion to give you a bit more oomph is going to be useful. Lift up tall. Let's round into a C shape first. Now have it just slightly away from your bottom so that it catches under your lower back as you curl back. And you're going to use that as a way of imprinting into the floor. Deep breath in overhead. And then to come back up, it gives you a little bit of a boost, a little bit more connection, and then come to sit tall so that you can articulate and roll your way up. Okay, so for lots of people, this is a real game changer for achieving the roll up. And so much of this process is about feeling like you've made progress, like you've achieved that thing that you didn't that didn't work for you before. Now, if this isn't working for you, then keep the block or the towel, and I would roll back onto it. And I would just take yourself a little bit further back than you usually would. Get your lower back into that block, into that towel, hold for a breath, and then try and peel forwards off of it. So just perhaps go a little bit further than you would if you were on the floor. If you don't need the block or the towel or the cushion, then move it away and continue. We've got 2 more. Some people like legs together because it gives them a little bit more connection. Some people like legs apart. Some people like knees slightly bent. So find a version that works for you. It's all valid. There's no right or wrong. Inhale overhead and exhale to curl all the way back up again. Now pausing here, we're going to bring ourselves to the front of the mat and we're going to take a hold into our hover. So we're rolling like a ball here. Shoulders are down, elbows are wide. Use your biceps to hold onto those legs. Round your spine so you tuck your tail and curl back. And again, a very thin towel might just give you that little bit of extra control so you don't feel like you slam into the floor. Remember, this isn't a big movement. You don't go back to the head. You don't even really go beyond the shoulder blades. Draw that tummy in and just tip off. And remember that so much of this movement is in the positioning, is in that tuck of the tail. If you don't get the rounding and you leave your tummy behind, you won't roll and you'll feel like you bang bang to the floor. Exhale up. Now, can you take your hands through and hold on to the inside edge? I'm going to show you like this, holding on to the sort of fronts of the ankles. Now, this is quite a nice option. If you struggle to get off the floor for rolling, this is quite a nice way of doing it. Shoulders down, chest open. Elbows are wider than you are. Sorry, not elbows, knees. Round back. Now, when you come forwards, push your feet into your hands, and that will bring you up. Inhale back, exhale up. So it gives you that extra little bit of oomph to get off the floor. Let's do one more here. Now, at the top here, hold, and can you extend those legs up? Doesn't matter if they don't go straight, get them up. Hold on. Take the bend and curl back. Curl up and extend. Find that space through the backs of the legs. Bend, curl back. We've got two more. Up and extend. Hold the balance. That's the key. Last one. And up. Hold your balance. Extend and bend there. Relax. Shuffle back. And we've got spine stretch, hands behind the head. So we're going to take an interlink of your fingers, place them behind your head. Now, you've got the option to do a usual spine stretch with your arms long, if you prefer. You can be positioned on your towel if it gives you a little bit of extra height, gets you onto those sit bones, and you can bend your knees if you need to here. In fact, I'm going to bend mine this morning just to give me a bit of support. Tummy on, shoulders down. We're going to take a rounding of the spine, chin to chest, curling down and peeling forwards along those legs. Now, draw those shoulders back and keep the elbows wide. Hold here. Can you try and extend your spine to a diagonal line and lift all the way up to sitting? Okay, so it's a round forwards and then it's a lift with a straight back. So we're strengthening that lower back. We're rounding down, lengthening forwards, peel away from that brick wall. Shut your eyes. Now, resting on the bottom, you're going to reach your chest forwards like you would for back extension. Pull those shoulders back. Drive your shoulder blades down to your back pockets and lift, grow with the belly. Hold at the top. Let's go again, chin to chest. Reach your way forwards. Using your lower back now, lift from the belly. Now, if this feels too much, then you roll your way back up like you would for the usual spine stretch. Roll forwards and roll back. One more here. Curling down, lengthening through, and inhale, grow. Extend that spine, come up to sitting, relax here. Now take your hands behind you, take one ankle onto the opposite knee, and then slide that knee in. Doesn't matter where it lands, it can be here or it can be here, doesn't matter. Then you're going to lift your chest, press your chest towards your ankle. So we're taking a glute stretch while we're here. Lifting up through the spine, anchor through the tail or the sit bones more. Open that knee out to the side. If this doesn't work for you or isn't comfortable for you, you can come down and do this on the floor in your usual glute stretch position. And then let's take that leg, release it and swap sides. Foot goes onto the thigh and we lift up through the spine, opening that knee out to the side. Tummy on, chest proud. Hang out here just for a second. Lift that through that chest and relax there. Okay, coming round and we're coming onto a high kneel. Okay, now from here, you're going to take one leg out to your side, plant it to the floor, open your arms and take yourself over into your side stretch position. Doesn't matter if that leg goes with you, but plant it down. Then make sure that you're opening this pelvis so you've got your hips facing forwards. Ribs it in, lifting through the waist, shoulder back. You might need to shuffle the hand underneath you a bit more. Top arm goes up and then planting the foot to the ground, reach that top arm overhead. Can you feel that stretch that goes down the side of the body, side of the waist, side of the hip even, armpit maybe, hold it. Let's circle that arm up and over, reach and round and up and reach. This is like your Pilates air guitar, reaching overhead. Let's do one more. Reach, and last time, lengthen, reach that arm up, keep the foot planted and bring yourself up. Take the opposite leg, reach it out. Strong tummy, up and over, lengthen through your spine. Plant that foot to the ground, reach that top arm overhead. Feel the difference. Tuck your pelvis under, belly on, ribs in. Can you feel any difference on this side? Hold that stretch. Make sure you're anchoring the foot so you've got the opposition. And we circle for 4 and reach, 3 and lengthen, 2 and 1. Reach it out. And then when you're ready, bring yourself all the way back up and relaxing there. Coming onto hands and knees. Right, we're good for time. We are nearly there, guys. Well done. We're going to draw the shoulders back. We're going to take the one leg back. Draw the tummy in. Little 5% tuck of the tail, perhaps. Press the ground away. Join it with your second leg. Hold this here and breathe for 5. And 4. Tighten that belt. 3. Lift the belly with every exhale. 2. And 1. Take a knee in, other knee, and relax back. Grab your cushion or your towel, and you're going to place it underneath your pelvis. Now, if you don't want to do this part, you don't have to. You can lie completely flat on the floor with your head down on your hands if you prefer. Otherwise, you're going to be up on your forearms. Now, the beauty of having the flexibility in the lower back now is that we can hold this position. Elbows can be a bit wider if you need to be a bit lower. Press the ground away, and you're going to lift your belly, lift your spine so that you're off the ground. Your tummy is not touching the floor here. You're resting your hips on that towel, and then you're hovering just off of the floor. You're going to reach your tailbone back towards your feet so that you can really get that belly to lift. And then we're going to take a single leg lift up and down. And can you feel how by having that position through the upper body, you're restricted in the leg? We have to find space somewhere. Don't let that be your lower back. Now, if this is too much, take the elbows wider and come lower, but keep that hover. And you'll find immediately you've got way more space, way more space. So you can play with this as long as your shoulders are back and your neck is long, your ribs are in, your tummy's lifted. Doesn't really matter where you are in space, even if you're resting slightly on the floor, as long as you feel like you're pulling up, like you're pulling away from the ground all the time, and you're feeling like your tail is reaching back to the end of your mat. Let's go on the next one, and we're gonna swap the legs. We're going swap and swap and swap and swap. So we're kind of marching from leg to leg. We have 10, 9, 8. Belly work, shoulders back. 5, 4, 3. Hamstrings working hard. Hold it there and release it down. Take your hands underneath you. Push yourself back to 4 point. And our final move is going to be our round back knee pull. So we're going to find not quite a full cat, but maybe a 50% cat. So full cat was here. We're going to be about here. So eye line's kind of between your thumbs or between your wrists on the floor. Take a leg back. Don't disrupt your position. Tuck that tail under. Don't lift the bottom. Take the knees back. Now, when you're ready, because you're in your cat, you're going to scoop from the belly to pull the knee in. And scoop from the belly to pull the knee in. Can you think of tucking that tail even more? Squeeze the tail underneath you. Let's go for 4. Hang that head. Don't take tension in the shoulders. Shoulders back. Press the floor away. Last one. Take a knee down and knee down. Take your knees nice and wide. Sit yourself back to child's pose. And take a moment here. Have a moment to breathe. This is your final stretch. You are done. When you're ready, come on up. Take the right hand onto the left hand and sit back. Same thing. Reach those hips back. Reach across the side body. Lengthen. to the side of the mat. And then coming all the way back up again. Other side, take the hand across and sit back. Take a big couple of breaths here. Breathing into the side of the ribs, the armpits. Bring it back up. Taking your knees in and sitting yourself up. And you are all done. Well done, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. I really hope you loved this video. Be sure to subscribe and share this with another person in your life who you know would love it too. And if you'd like to know more about Mind Body Meno and how we can support you through menopause with tailored movement, expert advice and a community of women just like you, then click the link below in the comments. But for now, if you're ready to just enjoy another session with me, then just click here.